guess this is the part we get to meet our host.
Ladies, gentlemen, killers alike.
Killers.
Killers who will not only decide your fate, but the fate of one another as well.
I'm not a killer.
Mr. Scarnelli, hitman extraordinaire. And Mistress Lucy, Black Widow of rich sadists. Mr. Fofana, your killings span 3 continents. Very impressive. And last, we have the sweet but not so innocent Mrs. Guntry. One by one, each of you is going to give an account what led you to embark on the life of a killer. And after the accounts have all been weighed, we shall vote.
Revenge only takes you so far.
Think of it this way. You may never get another chance to vent your hate.
You know, you killed her. My mother.
I'm right about you. You're like me.
You keep changing the rules because you're gonna kill us all.
Girl Bree Specific, and I am sitting here with the cast and filmmaker of Anonymous Killers. Thank you guys for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. No problem. So we have Gabby, Dominic, and AR, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. AR, I want to start with you. Respectfully, your mind is sick. I was at the premiere last night, and I was like, bro. I was literally on the edge of my passenger seat the entire time.
You gotta blame that on the movies, the 80s. I grew up in the 80s, the horror genre. Like it was so the Freddy, Nightmare on Elm Street, Jason, Amityville Horror, like all horror movies. So even when I try, the only way something in my movie doesn't have an element of horror or superstition, if it's a love story.
Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of got like the kind of time lapse because there are a lot of flashbacks in the movie, and I do think that you guys did a great job with like costume and like just setting up the scenes as far as like the ages of the different flashbacks. I think it was like phenomenal. Like you guys really snapped on that part. But can you just tell us a little bit about Anonymous Killers?
Anonymous Killers is a film about an individual who kidnaps 4 killers, and we know they're killers from the moment the movie starts. You see who the killers are, but he comes across a college professor in a bar and observe his interaction with a young lady and assumes that he's a killer too. So he kidnaps him. So he throws a college professor in the mix, and he tells them one by one they have to judge each other to see who lives or dies for their crimes that they committed. So it's basically like a jury of true peers, killers judging killers.
So do you really think that, because I know the tagline of the movie is beyond judgment lies the truth, and a lot of times we unconsciously judge people just maybe by their appearance or the way they, you know, first interaction with them or the way you see them interacting with someone else. And just that tagline, beyond judgment lies the truth, do you feel like we always unconsciously judge people without knowing that truth?
Somebody want to jump in? I think
a better definition of that line is more of the truth of the top 1% running the show, and beyond the judgment of the 1% to us, many of the minorities and the people that are victims in this society, lies the truth of all of their corruption. That's how I've always taken it. That would be my input.
How about you, Kat?
I think so. I mean, inevitably, I think it's just human nature to do so, but I think it's important to always constantly catch ourselves and check ourselves. But yeah, I think it's inevitable.
Okay. Yeah, for me, what like I said, the film for me, like I've been in trouble with the law. I was in prison, and like having gone through the system, like I always feel like they on the surface they judge me without really knowing. It's like I was guilty before I was even tried, just on the surface of who I was, a young black male. So when I say beyond judgment, you look at these people and you see killers, and that's your judgment, but you don't think as like, you don't know the story that what led them to become those killers. So, so if you just take it on its face value and wait and care about people's, because the justice system doesn't care about your story. All it cares about is the crime you commit. It don't care about what led up to that point unless it proves motive. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they don't care about it. So they remove like empathy, and they remove like the humanity, and there's no humanity in the criminal justice system. It's just that it's the crime, it's regardless. Forget about what led you to become a killer, what stories you went through, what you went through in life, what you had to overcome, or what suffering you had, or your losses. Sometimes that Patrick said it best, like what drives a person to a point where they have no hope.
Right.
And what direction they go. And you see that a lot today in the towns where you see all these mass shootings. Like people who do that, they have no hope. They have no hope, and it's crazy, it's evil.
And I wanted to ask you, since you related to today's, is there any symbolism within the movie that kind of relates to the current events that we've been going through with today's society, as far as like the looting and people rioting over social injustices, or picking what is considered a social injustice and rioting over that? Like, do you think there's any type of correlation in the movie when it comes to what happens in society?
Yeah, I think all the characters' story, in the movie as a whole, talks about what's presently going on in society as far as socially. As I think Gabby's story, like Gabby, tell a little about your story with the character.
Well, yeah, mine taps into immigration, which is a huge thing right now. You know, there's a scene in the movie where you see the little girl being pulled away from her mother, and it's such an impactful scene because, you know, now there's like 500 kids who are separated from their families, and just knowing that alone, it's such that the scene, it'll get to your heart, you know. So seeing that alone, immigration is a huge one, and it taps into most social issues that we have going on right now.
That's crazy because I wrote that like 17 years ago. So and it's like the times is catching up to it, because that scene was written with them taking her away from her mother, and here you have like present now the whole Trump administration takes.
And that's like immediately as I was watching it, that's literally what my mind went back to, seeing like that entire scene and seeing your character's stories. Gabby, just a little bit more onto your character. Were there any challenges that you had to face as far as relating to your character?
You know, I want to say that I was lucky enough to, I'm going to call it luck, but I spoke on this on my last.
Badass.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you. I did feel tough and sexy throughout the entire movie until the end, the plot twist. Yeah. But you know, it definitely, tapping into that character, you definitely have to dig into, let's call them past situations, past traumas, past whatever it is. And I spoke about this before, being able to tap into those moments that before might have been a burden or carrying them the wrong way was actually kind of like a healing process for me through this film. Bringing those situations back up and utilizing them actually was like a healing process. So yes, it's hard to tap into. Yes, it's hard to get into that character, but once you're in it and once you're warmed up, it's just like a free for all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Dominic, getting into your character a little bit, I like your character because you go between like being very heartfelt, and then you learn your story. And it's like you got a heart, but it's like you're heartless because you had a heart type thing. So that's why I really, really loved your character. I wanted to ask you, just within the movie in itself, do you feel like people can heal from their past traumas, or was your character's reaction to what happened to him, was that him healing from his past traumas?
Well, I mean, I think in regards to his two friends, Dom and Tone, personally, I think there's a bigger picture within Romero's story, and that has to do with again, talking about the social structure. I think that was more even of the larger message, in my opinion, just from my own personal opinion, just in regards to you know, Romero, even though it's the Italian mafia, he could represent a various number of different mafias. And the thing is automatically, again, we sort of criminalize these mafias. But for me, I felt like the bigger message with Romero was just the fact of why people join gangs, why people join mafias, aside from his personal struggle. It's more of the fact that you don't have the opportunity to get ahead unless you unfortunately break the rules. I've said in a few interviews that, again, Italians were sort of the first wave of immigrants. They didn't have all the incredible opportunities that, you know, the full white Aryan, you know, Caucasians did during the early 1900s. But again, I think you can sort of mirror it to, again, the African-American, Irish, Russian mafia, Italian mafia, to where there's a certain level of respect and that they took it into their own hands in order to get ahead. Now, I'm not saying it's 100% innocent, but also at the same time, I think people can have sort of empathy with that struggle, knowing how hard it is to sort of just get a foot in a door, and, you know, your foot in the door in our country there for many, many people. And I think AR did a brilliant job telling that story through so many different lenses, and the mafia it was definitely one of them there.
Yeah, and I feel like there's one of the things in the movie is kind of survival in a sense as well.
Yes.
All of the characters, like everyone, like they do what they do. Most of them do what they had to do because they had to survive. Like, you know, like this is how I make my living. This is how I live my life. And I can't wake up in the morning knowing that this happened and I can't get revenge, or I can't solve this problem, or I can't, you know, make this better for me. So I do want to thank you all for being here. Before we go, I do want to ask, what's next for each and every one of you? Are you all working on any other projects? I know it's the pandemic, but if you could touch on that just a little bit, I really appreciate it.
Dom, want to go ahead? Go ahead.
Sure. I had this priceless opportunity through the Star Wars universe where I was able to brand a one-of-a-kind bounty hunter, and Marvel Comics has taken a liking to not only just my branding and just my passion that I've had for the universe over the last 7 months with the Star Wars community, that they're going to write him in to a new comic. I have 2 sons, and the dream is to get them to college. So I'm going to go ahead and invest in 2 variant covers for these Marvel comics, and go ahead and tour all 50 states selling this comic with appearances in local comic book stores to promote small business and also promote my Star Wars bounty hunter. His name is Gecko.
That's dope. Congratulations.
Thank you.
For me, it's just exciting opening up again into auditioning. Out of the pandemic, we were so slow and everything was completely shut down. It's just exciting to get that email with the auditions, you know, so just being back in that grind is just really exciting.
Okay. AR?
Oh, yeah. I got a feature coming up called The Mods. I can't wait to get started. Looking to start shooting in New York next year, and I can't wait to get started. I think this will be, or is, my best script, and probably hopefully will be not my best, because that would mean I would have a short career of good movies. But I hope, but it will be. It's a very personal story to me, and I can't wait to get started shooting it and get it out there.
That's what's up. And can you let everyone know where they can find Anonymous Killers?
Anonymous Killers is streaming on Amazon, Google Play, Apple TV. You can get it on YouTube's movie channel, and you could get it on Vimeo. Or you could just Google it and it's gonna come up. Anonymous Killers, not Killers Anonymous. That was 2019.
Yes, Anonymous Killers.
Anonymous Killers.
Well, thank you guys for being here with me. Also, can you guys real quick throw out your social sites? Do you have Instagram, Twitter, anything?
Yeah, I use my Instagram platform. That's Gabriela Lopez LA.
Awesome. Yeah, Dominic Pace, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Gotcha.
AR_Hilton on IG, and AR Hilton at AR Hilton on Twitter.
Got you. Thank you guys. You all have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you